Guys, this is Annie. I hope you all are doing great tonight. And tonight I'm going to do a fun little manicure here for you. I am doing this one called Under the Sea. So I hope you guys enjoy the video and let's get started. So here we have the items that we will be needing for tonight's manicure. I'll go through them really quickly. Tonight I'll be using two stamping plates to get my images from. So I have the larger one and the smaller one. I also have two stampers so you could see the colors of the nail polish that I'll be stamping with, my scraper. I have my nail polishes to the side here. I'm using blue, and I have a little shiny polish here, which is just a regular glitter polish with clear base on it. I have a Wet n Wild black polish that I would be using to stamp with, and also I have my Born Pretty white stamping polish, and I do have an iridescent polish here to color in one of the images on my accent nail. And of course, my favorite fast drying top coat, some nail polish remover, and I have my tape roller here that I'll be cleaning my stamping plate with. And here I have a cleanup brush for the end of my manicure, and I also have some cotton on my cotton claw. You will also be needing a tiny piece of scotch tape, which I have here, or masking tape to pick up some of the extra images. So now that we have everything, let's get started. Alright guys, so as you can see, I have a bubble manicure we're doing tonight underwater. It's actually under the ocean because over here on my little accent nail, I have a nice little seahorse. But before we get started, I know some of you out there may not have stamping plates, so I want to show you two methods of creating bubbles. And for the little seahorse, you can probably just draw in a sea star or something. If you're really artistic and you're good with brushes, you can go ahead. Unfortunately, I am not that great, so I am going to use the stamping plate for everything tonight. But I did want to show you that you can actually create these little bubbles two other ways besides drawing them on with a brush. So if you do have a fine brush, go ahead and you just take a little white nail polish and you can just draw those in little perfect circles and highlight them, as you could see. And for the other couple methods that I want to show you is, I'm going to use a swatch stick here to show you this, by the way. And you can use a straw, believe it or not, or you can use a dotting tool. I am going to show you both tonight, and I'm going to just use some regular nail polish to do this. So I went ahead and already polished the swatch stick, as you can see, and that's nice and dry. And I'm gonna put just a couple drops of white polish right on my little silicone mat here. And the first one I want to show you is how to create these bubbles using a straw. Now if you're looking for different sizes of bubbles, you're gonna need two different sizes of straw, maybe like a coffee stirrer and a large straw. But this is one method of doing it. You just go in and dip the straw down like this, and make sure you have a nice ring right around there. Maybe this one needs a little more, so I'll go again, dip it again. And once you have that ring, just go ahead and kind of rub the straw in a circular motion on your nail very slowly. Press down. And as you can see, we have one side of it already. And you just kind of put it in a circular motion until that image is filled. And if you need more, always go back. Now this will take a little longer than stamping, of course, but I know some of you out there do not have stamping plates, so this is one way of doing it. And then you're going to need a highlight, so just go in there, take another little dip of that and highlight one side like such, and then the bottom. And then you have to let that dry. So there's your first little bubble done with a straw. And as you can see, it's very close to these here. It's a little bit thicker, but you know, that's the alternative to getting a stamping plate. But that's the first one, and you know, you can always go back and play with this and make these lines a little bigger if you'd like. you know, a little wider, like such. And that's one little bubble. And the other thing you can do now is you can use a dotting tool. If you don't have a dotting tool, maybe you can use like a bobby pin and something like a toothpick as well. You're going to need two size dotting tool, a large and a small. And this one is going to be, of course, the size of the bubble is going to be smaller, but in a case like this where you just need to add a couple bubbles, you could probably just even use your straw and make a large one and then go in and use your dotting tool to make a couple others. And you will also need the same color nail polish as your base. This one's a little more work, but again, this is the alternative if you don't have stamping plates. So go in and get a nice heaping drop of polish and you make droplets like such. And again, you can make a couple going up, and you can even make them smaller as you go up. And when you do have that done, so we have a big one at the bottom, we have the small ones on top, get your regular base coat. I'll put a drop of that as well here. Then you go ahead and you take that blue with your base coat and you use the smaller side of the dotting tool now. You just go in and cover up most of that white in between there. And there's your bubbles. So let me do that. Show you again. Just spread it out, cover up most of it. And then you go back with the same small side of the dotting tool or even a small brush, and you can highlight the bubbles to make them look a little more realistic. And there you go. That's how you make bubbles with using a dotting tool and a straw. So obviously the one with the dotting tool is a little bit lighter because the straw picked up more of that white. But if you're using the straw constantly, you know, all the bubbles are going to be consistent, so you don't have to worry about them, you know, one looking much more stronger color than the other. And if you're using the dotting tool, as you could see, they're more like the stamping one that I have here, which is a little bit lighter. So those are the two ways you can do it if you don't have a stamping plate. However, I don't have a lot of patience to sit here enjoying this stuff. So I will be cheating tonight and using mine stamping plates for you. So let's get started with the manicure. So I did went ahead and apply a white base and two coats of my China Glaze Blue, and this one is called Towel Boy Toy, and the number of it was 877. Now I also applied my glitter polish, and the way I did this was I didn't brush it on because I don't want so much of that sticky stuff and have to wait very long for it to dry. So I saved this nail here to show you what I did. I got these little eyeshadow brushes on eBay, and you can actually search around for that, and they're very, very inexpensive. And to apply glitter to your nails without doing 3 and 4 different coats of polishes, I came across this one way that I found was really, really helpful. So I basically just take the brush. I already used this side, so I'm going to use this one here. Just apply the glitter on it like you would to a sponge, and you can probably use a makeup sponge as well if you don't have one of that, any one of those cosmetic sponges. And when the sponge absorbs the actual clear nail polish, the glitter is left on top. So you just go in and tap the glitter right to your nails. And most of the nail polish is already at the bottom of the sponge, so it doesn't come out on your nail and it doesn't take very long to dry. So that's one easy way of doing it. Or you can actually polish your nail and wait for it to dry properly. I'll put a little more in there. I just prefer to do it this way because I don't like to sit out very long and have my nails drying. I don't like to spend too much time doing this stuff, so this is one easy way. And once you put your top coat later on, it's not going to look as dull as it is looking here. It's going to come right through, as you could see here. So let's get stamping, and the accent nail tonight will be my ring fingernail, of course. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to apply the bubbles, and for that I am using my Hehe plate number 066, and this is a generic plate that I'm using tonight. I'm going to use the bubble here, and that's going to be done with my white stamping polish from Born Pretty. I am also going to be using my black stamper so you could see the bubbles, and later on for the little seahorse image I'll be using my Pooh stamper. So let's get started on these bubbles. And the scraper I'm using actually came with this black little stamper that I purchased on eBay. There they are. And then we transfer them to the nails. And I'm not going to do too much of one, like covering the whole nail. I'm going to do it off to one side. So that's one set of bubbles. And let me do the same to these 3 nails. Alright, so now that we have the bubbles on the rest of the nails here, the next one I'm going to do is I'm going to take my little seahorse out of this plate that I'm using. And this is the Saint Mary plate by Gogo Only. And I will be printing this in black. So I am using my regular black Wet n Wild polish. And you'll also be needing a very tiny piece of tape, because these little bubbles on the back of this image is going to come out in black, and of course it's not the same color we're using on the rest of the nail, so the scotch tape is just going to pick that right off of the stamper when we pick up that image. So that's why I'm using 2 stampers tonight, because this one you could see the black off of it. Obviously this one we will not be able to see it. So let me put the polish on. Let's get a scrape on that and pick that image up. And this is a pretty big seahorse, so I'm probably going to have to cut some of the spikes out from the little things back as we apply it to the nail. So let me get a nice clean pickup on that first. And that's what I'm talking about. The little bubbles on the side, we need to get rid of that. So this is where the scotch tape is going to come in really handy. And you just need a tiny little piece for this. And just go around it and pick up the images right off, the unwanted parts right off of the stamper. And I'm also gonna cut back on the little spikes on his back because they were a little bit too big as I was doing the right one. Just be careful when you do this. You see how that lifted off? Okay. So now that we have that, I'll transfer this to my ring finger here, and I'm gonna line it up as best as I can. And I'm probably still not going to get all of the image in here because he's pretty big, but I'm gonna try. And just press down and roll. And there he is. The next thing we're going to do is color him in. And for that, I have my finger paint nail polish. And this is like an iridescent color. It's called Surreal Sunset. And it's absolutely beautiful. As you can see, it have browns and yellows and a little bit of orange in there. And we're just going to paint that little guy in. I am using the brush right off of the nail polish here tonight, but if you have a smaller brush, you can use that, or even a dotting tool. The only thing is we don't want to hide too much of the images that's on his body. So I'm just going to go in really gently and color him in. Try not to color him in too deep. That's why I'm using this iridescent nail polish, because it's just going to highlight it enough. And he needs just a little bit more. That's his little tail there and his little body. And there he is. So I think that's good enough. So the next thing we're going to do is top coat, clean up, and then we're done. So let's do that right now. So of course I am using my favorite top coat tonight, which is my out the door fast drying top coat. And I always like to tell you guys, when you do your top coat, especially with nail stamping, be very generous. Do not go over the same spot twice unless your brush is loaded with that top coat, because you could smear the image that you just put on there. And always cap the tips of your nails, because that will help you prevent chipping from the nail tips going up this way. So that's going to help to have your manicure lasting a bit longer than the usual if you don't cap your nails. And as you could see, the colors are actually coming out more. You could see those bubbles a little bit more. You could see the glitter underneath a little bit more. And the one thing you want to do is try not to apply too much glitter on this, because the bubbles will be concealed. Okay, and let's clean up around the edges. And for that, I will be using my cleanup brush and some acetone. Unfortunately, we don't have a lot of mess tonight. Oh, I like that. And we're all done. I hope you guys enjoyed these videos, and I also hope that the other two methods I've shown you of creating bubbles will also help you if you don't have stamping plates. If you have any questions, you can always write to me. I will answer them as best as I can. Please don't forget to subscribe as well for my upcoming newest and latest videos. And have a good night, everyone, and thanks for watching. Bye bye now.